Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Wednesday, October 8th. Questions about AI and the ongoing government shutdown have investors treading lightly, but treading. This after markets ended lower yesterday. The S&P 500 snapped a 7-day win streak, closing off by 25 points. The Dow gave up 91 points, and the Nasdaq sank 153 points. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. The S&Ps are positive. We're up 0.15%, which is, we've been, at this level almost all morning long. So, that's kind of positive to see. I mean, I see a lot of green on my screen. That's good. Markets today, the key event today is going to be the release of these Fed meeting minutes. From the meeting minutes from the Federal Reserve meeting, I think it was September 16th and 17th. Those meeting minutes are going to, really provide a little clarity for the markets in terms of, what they were thinking and what the future path of interest rates is going to be. And that is why it's going to be a key report today. And also due to the fact there's no other real economic reports due out today. President Trump, he did meet with that Prime Minister of Canada yesterday. Discussions, were focused on tariffs, but the tone of the meeting was said to be positive. I mean, no announcement was made, but it was it was a good meeting apparently. In terms of stock news, Elon Musk is out there. He's in the middle of a $20 billion capital raise for his XAI firm. NVDA is going to be providing $2 billion of that $20 billion capital raise, or about 10%, which is going to allow XAI Capital to do what? Well, to purchase NVIDIA chips. Okay. What else do we see? BLD, Boy Larry David, this is TopBuild. They're going to be acquiring specialty products for about $1 billion in cash. Got to keep an eye on gold. Gold closed above 4,000 an ounce yesterday for the first time ever. Third quarter earnings season is underway. So, it gets underway tomorrow morning. As you get reports coming out from Delta and Pepsi, but until that time, it's a little quiet. But looking at the action overseas, and we are seeing some positive action in Europe. I mean, look at the DAX; it's up 155 points, or 0.64%. Their gains in minings and financial stocks, that's positive. You look at the FTSE, up 78 points, or 0.82%. Again, they're seeing outperformance at banks and precious metal miners. France, is up 0.89%. That's actually leading the European markets. The sentiment remains cautious, yet the political uncertainty concerns seems to be cooling. So, we are seeing some gains in luxury and financial stocks because they're definitely outperforming this morning. And then we're taking a look over at Asia last night. Saw a little weakness. I mean, the Nikkei fell 215 points at 0.45%. There was weakness in tech, and but the yen continues to slide, and that dropping of the yen actually helped cushion the downturn in the index because a lowering yen typically helps equity prices, but last night's action that the lowering of the yen actually helped to limit the losses. Then you look at Hong Kong, the Hang Seng. The Hang Seng fell 128 points after being closed yesterday. That's a period a loss of 0.48%. You saw underperformance in tech, financial, and consumer stocks. Tech's valuations remain on watch there in Hong Kong. And in China, it remains closed for the Golden Week, but I believe it opens up tomorrow morning. And then, let's take a look at oil because oil is trading higher. We got oil up over 1.25% this morning. You got WTI at $62.68 a barrel. You got Brent at $66.35 a barrel. Remember, last week the oil dropped 7% last week, so this is kind of like a little bit of a rebound, if you will. But I saw those API stockpiles that came out last night. They rose by 2.78 million barrels for the week ending October 3rd. That's bearish for oil prices. So I don't know if they'll be able to. Continue This such a big run being up 1.36% this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, as we continue to watch the government shutdown and sort of quiet on that front, earnings reports, economic reports are a little light, but today we do have those Fed meeting minutes and a host of Fed speak. In just a moment, we will get to economic events. But before we get there, earnings action, you did point to at least a couple of big name earnings that are coming out. So let's start there. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
Yeah, well, tomorrow really starts is the start of the third quarter earnings season, as Pepsi and Delta Airlines are both scheduled to release third quarter earnings. This is, it's going to get really active next week and the following couple of weeks after that. But we start off tomorrow morning. You look at Delta, EPS is $1.56. Expected move is 7.15%. You look at PepsiCo, ticker PEP, Paul Edward Paul. Their EPS is $2.27. Expected move is 4.11% when they release earnings tomorrow morning, Emily.
Now, on to the economic events, really all surrounding the Fed. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
Oh, yeah. Well, 2 p.m. you get the Fed meeting minutes. That's the big one. 9:20 a.m. we're going to hear from St. Louis Fed Bank President Alberto Moslam. At 9:30, we're going to hear from Fed Governor Michael Barr. At 3:15, we're going to hear from Minneapolis Fed Bank President Neil Kashkari. He's also speaking at 4:30 as well today. Then at 5:45 p.m., we're going to hear from Fed Governor Michael Barr again. And then at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to hear from Chicago Fed Bank President Austin Goolsbee. Yesterday, we heard from Fed Governor Stephen Moran. Now, he expressed optimism on his economic outlook. He's saying that much of the earlier uncertainty for businesses and consumers has passed, and he emphasized the need for lowering restrictive monetary policy. Remember, his dot plots were way, way out there. But in his view, the economy is doing great and inflation is under control. And then later in that day, you heard from Minneapolis Fed Bank President Neil Kashkari. And this guy's the real deal. Kashkari is one of the brightest guys on the Fed, no question about it. I mean, you compare Kashkari's economic acumen to Moran, and it's night and day. Kashkari's the real deal. But he expressed concern that while tariffs are contributing to the rising of prices in a slowing economy, the ultimate impact on inflation remains uncertain. Then you had that inflation survey from the New York Fed, and it showed that a marked increase in multiple horizons for inflation is being expected. So, yeah, inflation looks like it's moving higher. Moran appears to be wrong. Kashkari, appears to be right, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, that's the one thing about economics. You never know how the coin is going to flip, but we'll keep paying attention to the reports if and when they start coming out next week, Emily.
And if and when they start coming out, you will have access to all of that information using your NewsWare. You're also following all that Fed action using your NewsWare and those economic reports, and following along with other types of headlines, corporate news, data and information coming out of different sectors and segments. You use your NewsWare to follow things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. Every day you're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks to track trends on the upcoming trading day. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving markets today?
Just looking at my Dow stocks this morning, I got 9 lower and 21 higher. It shows you why we're seeing some green on the screen. But I look at my FANG stocks. I mean, Apple's trading a little lower, Google's trading a little lower. That's I'm not thrilled about that. I would like to see gains in those stocks, but there is a little weakness. But overall, we're okay. I mean, the S&Ps are up 0.09% right now. But you look at some of the news behind the tape, and you're looking at Apple. Like Apple and Meta are close to settling EU antitrust cases. That's positive. Then there's news out on Amazon. This is interesting. Okay, Amazon is about to roll out pharmacy kiosks in doctors' offices. You know how you go to you go to the doctor's office and there's a soda machine, you can get a Coke or a Pepsi. Well, now they're going to have a pharmacy vending machine for prescription drugs that you can just go to and I guess put in your credit card and get your prescription right from an automated automated machine. Interesting, probably a good idea. I wouldn't have to wait. That would be nice. Tesla debuted their cheaper, stripped down versions of Model 3 and Model Y yesterday. Okay. Stuck Dow Jones 30 stocks. Let's talk Honeywell, HON, Henry Oscar Nancy. They're partnering with LS Electronics for data center power solutions. Talking CRM, Salesforce.com, ticker Charlie Richard Mary. They're on watch. Why? Because they get that annual Dreamforce conference that begins on October 14th. The stock typically runs into Dreamforce. Yesterday had a big weakness day, and that's in. But if you look at the call volume, it's very strong, very strong. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some gains in Salesforce CRM as we head into Dreamforce. Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J, they got hit with a $1 billion verdict yesterday in LA. LA jury awarded nearly $1 billion in a talcum powder case. Johnson & Johnson is going to appeal it, obviously. In terms of merger news, BLD, boy, Larry David, that's TopBuild. They're acquiring specialty products and insulation maker for about $1 billion. Then we got to talk about Confluent, CFLT, Charlie, Frank, Larry, Tom. Shares are trading higher. Word is that they're exploring a sale. Got to keep an eye on it. CFLT. Shareholders meetings. Honeywell. I mean, they got that spinoff, Solstice, that's having an investors day today. That could be something. PENG, Paul Edward, Nancy Grace, their board approved a $75 million common stock repurchase last night. In terms of catalyst calls, roadblocks, RBLX, I see Citibank up its price targets, and they put the stock on a 30-day catalyst watch list. That's what I have for you about news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk Pick of the Day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
Talking Delta, DAL, David Apple, Larry. Listen, earnings are tomorrow morning. EPS is $1.56. Expected move is 7.15%. Call volume 55,112 versus put volume of 37,831. It's positive. Open interest 476K to 374K. That's positive. And the major brokers are raising price targets. That's good to see. That's nice to see in this environment. So, I do think we're going to see some gains here today. I mean, listen, in terms of getting into the stock's trading 590. The stock's trading 56.90. If it gets to 56.5, I got to load up. But I'm willing to get in anything under 56.90. I think that's a good point. So my entry price is 56.70. Let's say 75. But I do think we're going to see at least a 1% gain during the day today, especially as we get closer to the end of the day or early tomorrow morning before the earnings are announced. So that's my pick of the day. Delta Airlines, DAL, David Apple, Larry, Emily.
Delta is on an earnings play. We will follow that one along with you. And in just a moment, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day. So stick with us through that. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay. What do we see? NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, says he wants to be a part of almost everything Musk is involved in. GEV, Grace Edward Victor, I see JP Morgan's remaining positive on GE Veranova and third quarter earnings. Domino's Pizza, DPZ, announces the first brand refresh in 13 years. Costco, let's talk Costco for a second. COST, Costco scheduled to release their September sales results after the bell today. That could be something. AZZ, they're releasing earnings after the bell. Expected move is about $7. Put call ratio is high, 1.30. Intel plans to release technical details about its forthcoming chip for laptops tomorrow. Amazon plans to invest $1.16 billion in Belgium. That's what I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading here midweek on a Wednesday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Verizon. Bill, you picked up on some weakness in the stock after that CEO change. This morning, I did catch a headline that the company signed a deal with AST Space Mobile to provide cellular service from space. This has AST shares moving higher, and Verizon's inching higher as well this morning. How did your call work out?
It was flat. I mean, I said 41.75, and I'm looking at it now. It's 41.75, so it's kind of a flat trade. Nothing happened. But listen, when you buy Verizon once a week, because you're not buying it for really stock appreciation. You're buying it for a dividend. And when the stock does sell off like it did the day before, it's typically going to bounce back at given time. I thought it would happen, yesterday. It didn't have the big bounce back yesterday that I was anticipating. But the dividend is very good, it's solid, and that's why you buy Verizon stock, is really for the dividend. You're not buying it for stock appreciation. But there are certain times where things happen, the stock sells off, and that's when you want to load up on it, because then you're getting the dividend and it's cheap. And this is a stock that is very stable. You're not going to have exponential growth like you will in a tech stock, but that dividend is so stable because their phone business, everybody has a phone, and that's not changing anything. That's the communication method. They're communication firms. And so it's stable. But yesterday, you look at it, I said 41.75, it's trading 41.75 now. So it's kind of a flat trade, Emily.
Maybe a longer term play with that one, Bill. We will continue to watch Verizon, and we will also continue to watch Delta and check in with you tomorrow about that pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.